Hey everyone, thanks for checking out my latest video. And today's video is going to be a build, test, and review of the Sainsmart 3018 Pro CNC machine with the 3040 extension kit and also the aluminum and Mdf spoilboard. Now, a few weeks back, the people at Sainsmart saw my videos of the projects I was completing with the Rover XL 4030 and reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to do a test and review of this product. They said they liked the projects I was completing and that they asked if I was interested. And at first I wasn't sure because it is a smaller machine than what I have now, but then I got to thinking that previously, before I bought the 4030 about a year ago, I was looking at my first CNC machine, and the 3018 was one of those. And I was really interested in buying this machine instead of the 4030 simply because of the cost and the smaller footprint. And at the time, my shop my garage, which is my shop, was full of boxes and a car, so I didn't really have the space. But then after the 4030 came out, I figured, well, I'll probably eventually want to go to bigger projects than what the 3018 can handle, so then I just went with the 4030 instead of the 3018. But I really liked the 3018 from what I saw on the specs and just reviews of the machine and on posts on Facebook. So I almost bought this machine a year ago before I bought the 4030. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to see if I would have regretted buying this machine as a starter and then working my way up to the 4030, or if I would have actually liked it. So again, this is going to be about building, testing, and reviewing the 3018 Pro with the 3040 extension kit and the aluminum and Mdf spoilboard. So let's get started. Okay, now as you can see, as usual, when you do get something, order something from Sainsmart, the packaging is really good. Everything is in nice thick foam and secured very well. And as you can see in the parts here, everything has a slot and nothing is just jumping around and sliding around in there. So, and just about ready to get started pulling parts out of the boxes and putting this together. And this won't be a typical build like you would have if you have a 3018 and you just bought the extension kit separately, in that I'm not going to put the 3018 together and then take it apart to add on the extension kit. I'm just going to replace the stock rails with the extension kit rails and just go from there as if I'm building a stock machine, but instead just using the extension pieces in place of the stock pieces. So once again, just about ready to get started, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to attach the side rails here to the front and back bakelite with the supplied M5 by 16 millimeter screws, and we're also going to attach these rails here, the guide rails. Okay, so I have the frame mostly together. It's not quite tightened down, but I'm just going to go ahead and check it for square real quick just to see how close I am to make sure it's not out too much. So there we have 23 3/8. 23 and 5/16. So it's off a little bit, but we'll square that up once we get the bed on there and make sure everything's looking good. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to install the nut seat onto the lead screw. And to do that, you're going to take your nut seat here, and you'll see it has a little notch out in it with a recess. You're going to put the spring in, take one of your copper nuts, insert that into the spring and kind of push it down into the nut seat there, and then just screw in the lead screw. You want to screw it on about halfway so that it's about in the middle of the lead screws for putting it, installing it in the machine frame. I'm sure you could probably, might even be easier to spin it around this way. There we go. Okay, so that's about in the middle there. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that into the bearing on the back side of the back end bake light. Just go ahead and put that in there. You might have to screw it in there a little bit. Just kind of give it a little bit of slack. So the next, we're going to install the coupler onto the lead screw, or I'm sorry, onto the stepper motor. And you can see it has a little flat spot on here. One spot is flat, so you will want at least one of those screws on the coupler to be on that flat spot. And you also notice that there is a larger hole on the coupler which goes onto the lead screw, and then the smaller hole goes on to the stepper motor. So I'll go ahead and slide that on about halfway. Just kind of give it a hold there, and then I'll just tighten it down on both sides. You don't want to tighten it too much, because if you do tighten this too much, you could strip out the little nut that goes in there. So just pretty snug. So there you go. And then we're going to fasten the stepper motor onto the front of the back end of the bake light with these M3 by 14 millimeter long screws. So go ahead and slide that in there. Actually though, before we put the screws in there, we're going to go ahead and slide the lead screw into the coupler. It's going to make it a lot more difficult if we wait until afterwards. And just make sure your little set screws aren't too far in so that you can get your lead screw into the coupler. Push that in there. Push that in. Go ahead and put the, there's 4 screws that hold the stepper motor in. Actually, I think I'm going to turn the stepper motor that way so that the wire can run off to the side. Flip this over to get to the bottom 2 screws. screws aren't in there. That one's in there a little too long. There we go. As you can see, you don't want your lead screw sticking out too far out the back there. It should be pretty close to being flush there. That's not too bad, so that'll work. But you want it to seat in as close as much as you can into the coupler here, and then just tighten it down. Frame all ready to go for the bed, so that's going to be the next step. Okay, so in the next step we're going to assemble the Mdf Aluminum Bed for the 3040. So what you want to do is you want to take your original aluminum spoil board or bed, and you're going to pair it up with the one that came with the extension kit. Now you'll notice here that one side has 4 slots and one side has 3 slots. You want to make sure that the side with the 3 slots is facing up, and you just want to join those together. Now next you're going to take, they provided this little card here that it's a little guide for placing of the M5 T-nuts here. So basically you're going to lay this on the bed, and then this will show you exactly where you're going to place the nuts, so that way when you lay the bed on top, you know, your screws should line up pretty much perfectly. And you'll notice that one side has 3 slots in it, and then the other side has 6 slots in it. The ones with the 3 slots in it, these are going to hold, these are what's going to be, it's going to hold your MDF down to the aluminum, and then these 6 slots here are what's going to hold your bed onto the frame of the machine. So we'll go ahead and we'll do that now. So your M5 T-nuts are going to go in the top 2 slots here. That's going to hold down the bed, and then your bottom 2 slots down here. So then these 2 center slots here are going to be the ones that are going to attach your bed to your frame. So we'll go ahead and put that on. And let's go ahead and slide those on. I'm going to go ahead and slide them in from the end. And then just move them over where they need to be. Here. Okay, so we have those lined up, and now next we're going to line up the ones for the where the frame is going to flip over top and attach to the bed. So we'll go ahead and we'll lay that there. So that'll get 6 in each one. Go ahead and put some in from each side. This this slot here, down here, you're only going to need 4 in because these 2 center ones here will be for your what attaches to your lead screw nut seat, and then these other ones will attach to the guide rail nut seats. So they did include an extra one in case you need it. So, alright, so I think we're just about ready there. So it looks like all lined up. Let's adjust this one. There's another one. Okay. So then next, we're going to lay our plate down onto the bed. Slide this around here. And you can see on the bed that it has these recessed holes in it. Those are the ones that you're going to have to face up because your flathead M5 screws are going to go right inside those holes. You don't want to use the bigger socket head screws because they'll stick out past the surface. So we're just going to go ahead and line this up. And you should be able to see through the holes that your screws are lining up, and then if not, you could just take your little Allen wrench here and get them lined up a little better so that your screw will go right in there. Okay. So I think I have that all lined up, and then next I'm just going to start putting in the screws. Alright, so there you have it. So next, go ahead and get ready to flip the frame over on top of the bed, and so we'll get that started. Okay, so we're ready to flip the bed or the frame over on top of the bed, and we're going to first we're going to lay out these shims, these little plastic shims that come in the pack, and basically that's just to give a little extra clearance between the frame and the bed. And so we're going to go ahead and basically we're going to have these 5 separate hole spots here. So we'll just go ahead and just kind of lay these on there for the start, just to get them somewhat in position. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then next we're going to flip the frame over. And we're just going to lay it down on top, and I'm just going to line up the holes in the nut seats with the holes in the bed. Now most of them shouldn't be too hard, and then we're going to use the M5 22mm socket cap screws to fasten them down. just by turning the lead screw there, you can see everything slides perfectly. Alright, flip this over, and you can see how it looks from the top side. So there you go. I'll go ahead and get ready to assemble the Z and X carriage there, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so I'm ready to assemble the X and Z axis assembly here, and what I'm going to do to start is I'm going to take the bakelite sides here. There's two sides. This one is going to have your stepper motor attached to it, and this one is going to go on the opposite end. So this one will go over here, and this one will go over here. So the first thing we need to do is we're going to take some of the M5 screws, 16mm length here, and we need 6 of them, and on the back side is going to be a little T-nut. So I'm just going to go ahead and put those on both sides to start, just to kind of make it a little easier and go a little quicker. So I'm just going to attach the T-nut on there just slightly enough to grab onto the screw. Go ahead, put those in there. Just going to do this real quick. And I'm just going to flip it over. And then just get the nut started on there. So there you have it. I'm going to go ahead and do this side a while, and then on this side you just want to make sure that your bearing is showing to the inside. This is going to be your outside surface here. I know I might be doing this a little bit out of order, but I just think it might make this a little quicker to have things prepared and ready for when you're ready to install this opposite side. So go ahead. And there you go. So I'm going to lay this one off to the side for now. I'm going to start with this one over here. And I'm also going to do this a little bit out of order, in that I'm going to install the coupler motor, or the coupler onto the stepper motor again first. And then I'm going to attach it to the side here. So that way when I put it up, it just makes it a little easier the fumbling around with it then. So go ahead and get this one on. So again, you just want to make sure that you're attaching the small end, the small diameter hole onto the stepper motor, and just make sure that one of the screws is lined up on the flat side there of the shaft. Go ahead and tighten that down. And then I'm just going to go ahead and attach this now onto the end piece. I think it just makes it a little easier to do now than to try and fumble with it while it's standing up on the frame. So you can handle it a little better this way. And again, no, might not be the correct order, but I think it'll work no matter which way you do it. So there we have the stepper motor onto the that right hand side. Now what we're going to do is just attach it to the side rail here, and what you want to do is attach it 46.5 millimeters from the back inside edge here. So I made a little pencil mark, and it's about 1 7/8 inches, give or take a 1/16 of an inch. So then I'm going to go ahead and try to line up the T-nuts into the slots there and tighten them down to get it in place. So this might be the tricky part, is just to get all the T-nuts lined up properly. And then you want to put this back edge here at the mark that you made on the frame. And I'm just going to go ahead and try to get 1 or 2 of them tight just to hold it in place. There we go. Wasn't bad. And the T-nuts should pretty much line up, self-align, and once you start tightening the screw down and turning the screw, they'll grab onto the rail. If not, you might need to just kind of back it out a little bit. And start again. I'm just going to go ahead and make these nice and snug for the moment. Okay, so that's on there pretty good. I'm going to flip this around. And go ahead and again line up the back side here with your mark on the frame. Just make sure the screws, the nuts get turned properly. And it lines up with your mark. I know this might not be the proper way either, but I think it should work out. So I'm just going to go ahead and try it this way, and if it doesn't work, then I'll take this side off. I think it should be good here. Alright, so I've got the 2 sides on. Flip this around. Alright, so next I'm going to go ahead and get the Z carriage assembly prepped and the back rails, so we'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm ready to assemble the Z-axis carriage onto the frame, and again, this might not be the right way to do it, but I think it should work either way. So basically you're going to start with your carriage here, and you'll see the hole that'll accept the spring and your copper nut, and you just want to compress. I'm just going to lay that down and compress the nut, not the whole way but about halfway, and I'm just going to screw in the lead screw. Again, I'm just going to screw this on until it gets about to the center. That's about right. So then I'm just going to put in the 2 guide rails. Now this may be the tricky part, is getting this here in between the 2 side pieces that I've already have installed, but I think it should work. And just want to make sure I have those set screws on the stepper motor coupler turned out the whole way so that they don't interfere with the lead screw going in there. Okay. So actually I think I'm going to in there. Yeah, so that'll work. Might not be the proper way to do it, but at least that way I have everything in hand there. So I can see that went in there pretty good. Not too much of a trouble. So I'm going to attach the guide rails first, just to kind of give the Z-axis a little stability while I try to put the stepper motor coupler onto the lead screw. So I'll just go ahead and finger tight those. Flip it around this way. I'm just going to go ahead and tighten some of these other ones up a while, just so that way they don't keep spinning around. I think I've got everything where it needs to be. Go ahead, tighten these. Alright, so there we go. Now I have the assembly pulling there pretty good. And now I'm just going to tighten up the lead screw to the stepper motor coupler. And again, you don't want to tighten those too much, because I have had those strip out, or I've had to heat them up or something to try to get them on. Okay, and now as you can see, as you turn the lead screw, your carriage is moving over. Alright, so there you have it. So I think the next step is to go ahead and get the spindle mounted and all the electronics in, and then we should be ready to test it out after that. Alright, so I'm all ready to install the spindle motor and the control board and all the wiring, so we'll go ahead and do that here quick. And so I'm just going to take the spindle motor. You see it has two wire connectors here on the top, and the instructions say to, when you put this in, to leave about a 1/2 inch of this sleeve above the top of the carriage there. So we'll go ahead and leave that in. And we'll just tighten this down. And you don't want to over tighten it and strip anything out, since this is just some heavy duty plastic. So that looks pretty good there. Spin this around. Next we have the control board, and I've already put the T-nuts and the M5 screws and T-nuts on there, so that way let's go ahead and I'm just going to put this on the back, and they should just slide right in there. And we'll go ahead and tighten that up. Alright, so there you go. So next, I put some wiring. I already put one of the cable sleeves on the wires here. I don't think it really matters which cable you use, except for the spindle motor cable here. You have one cable like this, one connector like this. These ends here go on to the power on the spindle. And then you have your three cables here that will be for your stepper motors. So we'll go ahead and plug these in. I'll plug this one into the down here. So then this is the Y stepper motor goes in the center. I'm going to go ahead and put some more of the plastic sleeve on here for the, and basically this is pretty easy. It just kind of corkscrews on onto the wire. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to get this all wired up, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, so you may have already noticed here that I went and skipped ahead a little bit, and I already have the spindle mounted here. And basically, and that's pretty simple, you just drop it in and make sure this little sleeve right here is about a ½ inch above the top of the plastic carriage. And I wired it up, and just want to make sure that when you do wire it, there is a little red dot right here. You probably won't be able to see it even if I zoom in, because it's just most of the paint is wiped off. But basically you want to connect your red wire to the terminal next to the red dot, and the black one over here. And I connected all of the stepper motor cables and the spindle power to the control board, mounted the control board. Again, this is just 4 screws with the tiny little T-nuts that used for, also the same ones used here to attach this carriage onto the base. And I put these little cable wire protectors on. That took some time, so I did that off camera just to kind of save time on the video. So I have everything connected. I have it connected to my computer. I'm using a Fusion 5 tablet, Windows 10 tablet, which works pretty good for running Candle, which I'm going to use to run this machine. And I already had it installed. I've got the machine connected to the computer and to Candle, so it's recognized the machine. One thing you may have noticed, I'm not sure, is that when I originally attached this to the base, I had it sitting back farther. I had a little mark back here. It's about 2 inches from the back. But then I realized that was for the old setup for the 3018. Now the 3040, I needed to move this forward in order for the carriage, or the bed, to be able to get to the front, or the spindle to be able to get to the front of the bed when it moves. Now it won't go the whole way to the back, but it does go mostly side to side, with the exception on this side here where the collar is connecting to the stepper motor. So you just have to be careful that when you're running this machine, that you don't take it too far, because it will hit either the collar here or the bed. Will go too far, and you'll hear the grinding of the plastic and the lead screw trying to turn when the table hits the frame, because this machine does not have the limit switches on. So other than that, I have it all connected, and I just wanted to kind of go over a couple other things, some of the accessories that you do get, which is some wrenches for changing the bits, a little pack of 30-degree V-bits, and then your 4 basic clamps here, which I think I'm just going to use the taping glue method, and a little brush for cleaning off your lead screws or plate, whatever. Some zip ties if you do need to run some cable management. I think I'm pretty good with the way this looks here, since everything that's moving is basically to the front. I don't think you'll run into too many of the wires. And then you also have the offline controller, which I'll mess with that a little later, try and get that to work, because I've never used one of the offline controllers before. So, and then I think that does come with comes with a small SD card, which is a 1 GB card. So it won't hold a lot, but it's enough for running the machine. So I got that. And then also with this machine, before I get to running a test project, there's a couple other things that were in the box that I just wanted to show, which I've never seen this before, even with my 4030. Hopefully you can see that. And it's just a little chart of their bits that they sell through Sainsmart, with all the different types of end mills, fishtail end mills, ball nose, tapered ball nose, upcuts and downcuts. And then it tells you basically what type of material it's good for. So it's a good little reference sheet for those people who may not have too much experience. So, and I think all these bits you can buy through Sainsmart. So I think that's a good little chart to have. And also in the box is a little thank you card with your Carveco trial card here. So you do get I think it's a 30-day or a 3-month trial, I'm not sure exactly which one. A little 15% off card for accessories. And then also if you register your product, apparently there's a free, registered for warranty, there's a little free product giveaway. So those are just some of the other things that were in the box. So I'm going to go ahead and get it set up to run one of the test files that came on the USB stick. That's also came with it, with all the drivers and files information on it. So I'll go ahead and get that set up and give it a test. Okay, I'm ready to do the test file. This is a Sainsmart logo that I made myself, and using a 60-degree V-bit, and we'll see how it goes. Okay. Well, I think it cut pretty good. I might have been a little aggressive with my depth of cut and my feed rate, but other than that, I think it worked pretty good. Alright, well there you go. It's all finished. I think it looks pretty good. Even though I may have been a little aggressive with the feed rate and depth of cut, but other than that I think it turned out pretty well, and the machine handled it pretty well. So if you're in the market for a beginner's CNC machine and don't want to spend a lot of money on something like the 4030 or even the larger machines, you can't go wrong with this 3018 and the 3040 extension kit. And you know, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I was looking at getting this machine before I purchased the 4030 XL, and I was looking at this for a couple of weeks, and I almost bought it up until you know, a couple days after I saw that the 4030 had been released, and then I realized though that I probably wouldn't want to make bigger projects. So that's the only reason I really went with the 4030 over the 3018, was being able to do bigger projects. But this machine, you know, you can upgrade it, you know, with a different spindle, and limit switches, and some other things I've seen. You can 3D print some different parts and accessories to really make it your own machine. But you know, just as a base model machine, I think this is a good starting point for your kids or someone else who doesn't, like I said, doesn't want to put a lot of money into it and decide whether or not they even like this hobby. So again, you know, I do like this machine, and I'm glad that I did decide to do the test and review of it, because I know that if I would have gotten it about a year ago, before I got my 4030, I think I would have been very happy with it. So if you do have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know. But other than that, thanks for watching.